Hi, here I'm going to talk about the First National Bank of the United States. The first bank was built in 1795 and finished in 1797. It was built in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The bank was made to strengthen national finances, to promote economic growth, and to move the country away from its reliance on agriculture. It was also created to raise revenue, to impose tariffs on imported goods, and to aid in raising revenue to fund the nation's debts. Even though it was the first national bank of the United States, England had a plan in it too. They helped with the idea of the bank, but they didn't get their bank system started until later, though. How kind of them. There was a little complication after the bank was built, though. The Congress at the time started to have second thoughts about the bank. Eventually, in 1811, Congress voted to abandon the bank. Many people did not agree with them, though they wanted to keep the bank. Luckily, the citizens won, because if Congress won, we wouldn't have banks today. Here we have Mr. James Madison. He took the side of having no banks. The Congress and he were trying to get rid of the bank, but he was not the main person on the side. In fact, he was like the second-hand man. He was just there to support the side of having no banks. He did have an opinion on the having no bank side, though. He tried every way possible to support and try to win the argument. This argument ended up being the first debate ever. The Congress, Mr. Madison, and Mr. Thomas Jefferson all took the side of having no banks. Here is the Thomas Jefferson. He is also known as the leader of the Having No Banks group. He had taken all of the responsibilities into his own hands. He had taken the one-on-one discussion and the debate into his own matters. The Congress and Madison were just backup, and by backup I mean they were proof that he wasn't the only one wanting this no bank rule. He had to write his own opinion on how he felt about the bank idea. He had stated the 10th Amendment. The 10th Amendment in his personal opinion. He had also given facts about how it would not be necessary to build. The Congress had listened to his side and the opponent's side of the story. Mr. Jefferson had given it his all to try and not create the bank. But it was not up to him or the opponent. Not up to him or the opponent. But it was up to the president at that time. The president at that time happened to be George Washington. This is Alexander Hamilton. He is the opponent of Jefferson and Madison. Instead of being on their side of having no bank, he was on the opposite side of having a bank. He was the leader of the group that kept the bank idea running along with England. Alexander had written his own opinion on how to keep the banks. He had amendments and written proof on why there should be a bank, along with his personal reasons. Him and England are the reason we have banks today. Without their hard effort to keep the ideas of a bank alive and to show President Washington what good the banks can do, there would be no banks today. This is the man who made the big decision, George Washington. He had to make a big decision between no bank and yes, have a bank. He had told Jefferson and Hamilton to write their individual opinions on the idea. He had witnessed the debate and the discussion to hear both sides. He had also individually talked to them and the supporters to gain more facts. He did take some time to think about the idea. Would it be good to us? And how would it change us? More and more questions wandered through his head as he thought. He finally came out with his decision. He had told everyone that there will be a banking system applied to us. And since then, we have had banks.